Okay, today we are playing a game on Hollywood. We are in the Gold SR range, and we will be playing Soldier 76 the entire way through. And our current team composition is Reinhardt, Diva, Hanzo, Soldier 76, Widowmaker, and Zenyatta. Widowmaker was on Ana, but then changed to Widowmaker as soon as the round started, so, you know, you can see how that immediately made the team comp a lot worse than it was a second ago. So now, we've only really got one healer, and it's Zenyatta, so that's very exciting. If you want to be as optimistic about the situation as physically possible, Zenyatta's the main healer, and we're the off healer. It's still bad, don't get me wrong, it's still bad. Widowmaker should go back to Ana. So anyway, you know, let's just start the game. So we gotta attack Hollywood first, and Diva's behind us. Diva's not allowed to be this far up, and she gets rightly punished for it, thank goodness, and loses her mech. So, first off, we're really fucking fidgeting, and this gets more obvious as time goes by, but like, just watch like the last 5 seconds. We're a very, very fidgety person as we play, and I mean, it could just be that that's how we are as a person, but it also could just be sensitivity's too high, so like every little micro movement with the mouse gets picked up. Either way, I want to be a little bit more chill if possible. Other thing, main reason I've stopped right now, is we are not making good use of cover right now, because we have gone out into the middle of the street to fire at this boy, and no shield in front of us or anything, and a fair distance to get to cover, because, I mean, we got the car over here, I guess, and we got the wall over here. These are the main things we can use as cover, or the side of the archway, you know. We've got a few things we could use as cover, but we're kind of in the middle and far away from all of it. We could just be standing a lot more over to the left and be shooting at Hanzo while still closer to this wall that we can use as cover. Because then, when they start shooting at us, or if we start losing health and we're like, oh shit, we're in danger, we have to make a shorter trip to get into cover than we do currently, where we will have to go a fairly long way in either direction to get into cover, if something bad starts to happen to us. If Reinhardt was standing out with his shield out, it would be less of an issue, but we do want to think about what we're going to use as cover should things go badly. Similarly, if we're going to go forward and do something aggressive, right, we want to think about, well, if something bad happens to me, how far do I have to go to get back to safety? And ideally, you don't want to have to go terribly far. So, things are going well. They've lost a couple of people quite quickly. Also, try to jump less. We're jumping everywhere right now. Because the thing is with jumping, right, is once you start jumping, you can't really alter your momentum in the air, unless you have a double jump, like Genji or Hanzo. You can a little bit, but not really. So once you start jumping, you're going like this, right? Or maybe like that, right? Even that's more than the game really lets you get away with. You're going in a pretty predictable arc once you actually jump. So if someone's paying attention, they can wait for you to start jumping, and then they know, ah, well now he's going to go in this trajectory and he can't really alter it, which makes you easier to get shot. Less of an issue for someone like Lucio, who is quite small and also tends to alter his speed a lot while he's jumping around. Less of an issue for him, less of an issue if you have a way to alter your momentum in the air. Soldier sort of does because of sprint as well, I suppose. But hopping everywhere, you don't want to do. Just makes your movement more predictable, basically. So we've managed to capture the first checkpoint miraculously enough. Turns out when the enemy team does some dumb shit, it's a lot easier to push over them. Widowmaker did just get absolutely annihilated by Zenyatta, it turns out, so that's very exciting. I'm sure she's feeling good about that one. Maybe she'll go back to Ana. Ha 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 ha. It's fine, it's like we got 2 healers, now we got the payload. Now we got the payload, the payload's a healer. Think about it. I was not looking at the screen. We started using TAC Visor, so we're using TAC Visor right now. I'm not really super excited to do it, because kind of all we could see at the time is Diva in mech currently still, and I'm not going to use TAC Visor just on Diva, right? Like, I can shoot Diva pretty easily. She's a big girl when she's in mech. Now, more people present themselves as targets afterwards. We managed to get Hanzo and Junkrat, most of Junkrat anyway, with it, so cool, but when we started using it, we could only really see Diva in her mech, which isn't really a priority use of TAC Visor. Zenyatta is not allowed to do that. This was very bad for him. Try to shoot the guy and then finish them off with the Helix rocket, because someone like Zenyatta, right, he can use trance suddenly, right? So ideally, and they want to use it, they don't want to use it when they've only taken a little bit of damage, right? So in the ideal circumstances, you do like some damage to them by shooting and then finish them off with the Helix rocket, because then they're less inclined to use the abilities that they're less inclined to use their escapes if they haven't taken a lot of damage already, right? So you can do a bit of damage to them with the bullets, then spike them to finish them off with the Helix rockets. Whereas if you shoot them with the Helix rockets first, then they're like, oh shit, pretty close to dead, use the escape button right there. It's just a way people are. If you do some chips to them with the bullets first, they're less likely to use their survival abilities than if you just hit them with the rocket immediately. So we've gotten into a scuffle with D.Va. Not the end of the world as Soldier, honestly. If, like, Winston or D.Va come for you, you can usually just fight them off. We don't have, Biotic Field during this fight, so it's a little bit scarier. Also, try not to just, like, get right up on top of the person you're shooting at, because ideally you're just better at shooting the person from further away, because pressing right up to Baby D.Va is only really making it easier for Baby D.Va to kill you, right? Now suddenly you have to make wider sweeping movements to keep track of her, and you've got a hit-scan weapon, she's got a projectile weapon, so if you're just touching each other, you make it easier for her to hit you. We also had Helix rockets during all of this, and she's got the Discord orb on her right now, so we could just fire the Helix rocket at her and basically kill her immediately. Because Baby D.Va's scarier than she looks. That's her final form. It's terrifying. Just kill that lady and move on with life. Helix rocket's got a pretty low cooldown, and it's only damage. It's got no utility aspect to it. So you can kind of just chuck it out there whenever to do damage to people, and yeah, okay, if you get into a duel, it's, oh my god, please. This is too much. This is too much. D.Va wants us to be right on top of her, right? She has got dual automatic shotguns with infinite ammo. She would love nothing more than if we're touching her. We gain nothing from going all this way up to her. True enough, we basically can't miss now, because she's taking up the entire screen, but D.Va's mech is fucking huge anyway, and it's almost harder to not get a critical hit on D.Va than it is to actually get the crit. So, like, again, she wants us to be closer to her, so we just come into her zone by running right up to her like this. This is just making it easier for her to kill us. Again, we start using Tac Visor right here, basically just on D.Va. We're at half health right now. So Junkrat comes around the corner, but we're so fucking close to him that it's no difficulty at all for him to just finish us off like that. Big burst damage and all that. So we're way too aggressive. Soldier is a mid to long range hero. You really don't want to be right next to people as Soldier. Soldier is typically at his weakest when someone is directly on top of him. And this is true of all hit-scan heroes, really. Unless we want to count, like, Reaper as a hit-scan hero. Then I suppose. But, right, like, hit-scan heroes, you want to be further away. Again, we just sprint straight through the doors, and hey, well, Junkrat's got no issue with us being right next to him, because it's a lot easier for him to hit a bomb on us if we're touching the dude, basically. But again, we gain nothing from being next to him, except for him being slightly easier to hit. And ideally, we'll just get better at hitting them from further away. He's a mid to long range hero. We want to be far away from the bad men. Ideally on high ground as well. Soldier on high ground is one of the, like, Soldier's one of those heroes that's, like, overpowered when he's on high ground, basically. Unfortunately, Hollywood doesn't really have a lot of high ground for us to abuse, so, yeah. We still want to be far away from the bad men, though. I'm not sure why we did that right there. Maybe we were looking for someone. Whatever. So anyway, be far away from people. We don't want to be touching people as Soldier. We want to be far away from the bad men. Because the bad men want to touch us, and we don't want to touch them. We want to touch them with the bullets, I suppose, but we don't want to touch them. So their soldiers using tac visor. A bunch of people on our team are dead right now. We should not be poking our face out. We should just be leaving. Like, we should not be in the hangar anymore, basically. At this point, we gotta, like, we're getting into a fight. As soon as you basically, you're down 2 people relative to the enemy team, so 4v6, 3v5, something like that, you should basically be trying to leave the fight, because chances are you're not gonna win the fight at that point. You wanna just regroup with your team, and not risk dying, or just feeding ult charge the enemy team, if nothing else. So we use Biotic Field right here, and nothing's happened to us. We're at full health currently. And yeah, they're kind of shooting at us, but it was Junkrat bombs coming at us, which are not that difficult to dodge when you're that far away from them. We've got tac visor now. This isn't a great point for tac visor, because there's kind of a lot of places for the enemy to take cover. Similarly, they can just use Transcendence. So, the fact that they at least use Transcendence for us doing this makes it better, but we should not have used tac visor, because if we look at the kill feed, oh, we're already down 2 people, and Reinhardt's not looking good, right? He's using Earth Shatter right now. He shouldn't be doing that either. That's bad for him to do. That might be what prompts us to do this. So, another thing, if someone on your team uses, like, Earth Shatter or Graviton, soldiers have this innate reaction of just use tac visor right after those ultimates are been used. The thing is, with Earth Shatter and Graviton, is the enemy team are not going to be moving around very much after that. So the benefit of tac visor is kind of negated if the enemy team aren't really going to be moving around. Because an aimbot isn't super useful for a currently stationary target, right? So that might be why we use tac visor here, because he used Earth Shatter. Not a great ultimate to use tac visor on. Exceptions to that, because he might hit like a couple of people, and then there's still a bunch of people moving around in the background. But not a great one to combo tac visor with usually, because the enemy aren't moving. But he also shouldn't have used Earth Shatter right now, because 2 people on our team are dead, so we're not super likely to win the fight. Also, our healer's dead right now, so... And then we use it as well, similar situation, but we also have the benefit of going... Honestly, Reinhardt's probably fucking dead. Do we have allied health bars turned on? No, turn allied health bars on. Because then we'd also know that Reinhardt's going to do this while currently really low health, it looks like, because he immediately falls over right afterwards as well. So, whole bunch of things there, but the moral of the story was, we already lost the fight, don't do it. Anyway. So, whatever. Again, we shouldn't really be in the hangar right now, because we need to wait for our team to regroup. So we should just be waiting outside for them to regroup. Because Soldier is long range, you can kind of, like, poke through the, like, stand outside the hangar door and try and shoot in and do some chip damage and, like, poke to people to build some ult charge, I guess. But, like, if your team's regrouping, you don't want to be anywhere near the enemy team. Because you're just increasing your chances of getting picked off. And people don't like to do that. They always want to be like, well, I should at least be poking or something. You should be waiting for your team to regroup. Because even if you're poking at them, like, the most you're doing is getting ult charge off of it. So, like, cool, I guess. But it's not worth the risk of dying at the same time. Anyway, so, there's soldiers up there. He gets to abuse some high ground, which is unfortunate for us. Junkrat used the tire, we broke the tire, great. Both their healers are dead, plus Junkrat's dead, so things are looking good. Now, suddenly, our team's dead. Oh no, that's quite sad. Elevator music was playing in my head right there. So, their soldier just started using tac visor. I actually can't hear the game right now, because there's music playing on the video, basically. Which is fine, I don't listen to the game when I play either, because I like to listen to very loud music. Because what's the point in listening to music if it's not going loud enough to cause me hearing problems later in life, frankly. But, you know, I saw him start using it at least. Anyway, so Winston's on our team now. That's cool. We've got Reinhardt, because D.Va just changed to Reinhardt. Doesn't really need to be on Reinhardt. It's not like they have a Reinhardt or anything. So we decide to use tac visor right now. Who could we see at the time? Kinda not very many people, but I mean, we reasonably assume we can just come out here and shoot at some more people. Then we jump into the dragon. I assume we just didn't quite figure out where the dragon was in time and walked into it. Whatever happens. Don't walk into the dragon. Shocking, I know, that's why they pay me the big bucks right there. I will level... Oh, no, he just changed to Moira. Okay, alright. I mean, it's one of our tanks that changed to Moira. I was gonna say, I will level you with you. Like, at this point, it's pretty obvious none of our other DPS friends are going to change to a healer. So we should change to a healer, really, right? Like, I know this video is about Soldier 76, but I will say we really should change to a healer, because just Zenyatta is inadequate as far as healers go. But we've done alright so far with just Zenyatta, I suppose, haven't we? We're almost at the end of the track, which is better than some maps, some rounds on Hollywood go. So, we're currently, no, we're not. I read our health as 111, it's 171, disregard. Okay, I was like, we're going up while we're like half health right now. No, not the case, not true. We were still going up pretty aggressively, but not as bad as I thought it was. We just put Biotic Field down while we're at full health. We also have Discord Orb on us right now, so we should try to get Discord Orb off of us before we really stick our face out again, because this happens when you got Discord Orb on you. You die really fucking fast. And we put Biotic Field down, but we're just so soft with Discord Orb on us that it doesn't matter. We just get bursted to death before it could ever really help us. Life is difficult sometimes. So their soldier just used Tac Visor, which is cool because they basically already won the fight anyway. We shouldn't be poking our face out right now. Our team's regrouping. Great, we killed soldier. Our team's still regrouping, so that pick has done nothing, and all we're doing is risking death right now. And this is a really bad time to die, because there's only 20 seconds left on the clock right now. So, dying would be really, really bad, basically. But we didn't die, so cool, works out in the end. Don't get punished, you don't have to learn, that's what I always say. They do use trance right now, and really we should just be going up to touch the point, because someone's gonna have to in a second. It's getting to that point, pretty much. But let's be real, we aren't gonna get this payload any further this round. That's okay, though. We got it basically to the end of the track, and Hollywood is a map where you can feasibly win on any of the 3 checkpoints. So it's fine. And now, we actually have a real team composition. Good heavens, did you see that? Let's go back. Oh my goodness, look at this wholly adequate team we have now. Isn't that incredible? I'd rather that Mercy was playing Anna, to be honest. Or Lucio was playing Anna, because Mercy can be an off-healer. Just because Anna's really fucking good, basically, you know? Like, Anna's really, really good, is pretty much the main crux of the reason. Though Mercy does at least have good people to damage boost, so Lucio changing to Anna wouldn't be terrible either. Though you then, if you have Mercy as the off-healer, you miss out on having the very good defensive ultimates the Zenyatta and Lucio bring. So there, McCree got picked off right at the start of the round, so he's probably pretty stoked about that. I don't really like standing up here unless the tank is going to stand up here with me as well as a soldier, just because this can happen pretty much. Because if I'm going to play any of the hit scan heroes on this map, basically, I like to stand on the balcony over here. Because you can see everybody as they're coming through the gate. You're way safer back here. You pretty much can't get flanked because you can see all of the areas they can come into you from, right? And yeah, you can't shoot them while they're out in the street, but like realistically, unless they do something really stupid, they don't die while they're out there on the streets, right? And you know, some people like to go stand up here in the choke point as Reinhardt. That's a really bad place to stand. You want to stand in this kind of region right here and hold them as they're coming through the gate instead. In which case, standing back here, you're going to see them basically at all points in time. You could feasibly kill them. And then there's just significantly less risk of dying. I don't like standing up here. People like to stand up there, you see it a lot, but just the risk of dying is so high. If you've got like an Orisa with you, that's fine, you know, if Orisa's up there, Reinhardt's up there, okay, cool, you know, you got a shield to stand behind. If you're like Widow, Hanzo, I guess you can get up there quickly, try and pick someone off and then reposition, you know, whatever. But I don't like standing up there as like Soldier, McCree, even Ashe, I don't like standing up there. it's just very scary. The risk of dying is fairly significant. Anyway, so we're going way too far up, like, right now. We're being very thirsty, because we're just pushing right up to the doorway right there. Very, very, very greedy. Just like, maybe I'll kill that Zenyatta, but, you know, risk of dying dramatically increases right there. So we don't want to be fighting on the point as Soldier either. This is the thing, is that, like, eventually the fight turns into this kind of setup. And if you're up here, like, this is just so much better. Like, look at this beautiful line of sight, right? You can see everything. Everything is visible. You can't get flanked as long as you're paying attention. It's so good. It's so good. So much better than that balcony over there. I don't have one ready, but just imagine the two balconies on that instead, right? That balcony's for villains. This is the one. This is the good one. This is the good one. So I'm trying to push back right now, but it's not fucking working because Twitch is this way. So I've gone back right now, basically to illustrate why using Tac Visor then was bad. So we can see we've lost Lucio already. So already, things are not going fantastic. Now Mercy's dead as well. We've lost both our healers. So, and then Zarya dies as well. As soon as you've lost both your healers, something miraculous is going to have to happen for you to win that team fight, pretty much. The hand of Daddy Jeff Kaplan's gonna have to reach down and personally bless you for you to win the team fight at that point. And we lost Zarya as well, but we used Tac Visor. And you know, I get their team comp's quite bad, so it's not unimaginable we wipe their team with Tac Visor because they don't really have a good shield. But the chances of it are still very slim, right? We still lost 3 people at that point. We shouldn't use Tac Visor. We should just save it for a fight that we have a more reasonable chance of winning. So, now I've lost that checkpoint, whatever, not the end of the world, and now we get to take advantage of some of the best high ground in the entire game. The rooftops on Hollywood. Now these are some sick high ground. Unfortunately, it's very hard to get up here as Soldier, because you got no vertical mobility, so you are at the whims of the elevators. But this is very good high ground. Very good to sit up here and just spam down at the enemy team. We have fallen off the high ground. This is terrible. We don't want to not be on the high ground right now. I think we fell by accident, but then we did kind of go for the Soldier as well, but that might just be because we'd fallen off, so we went, fuck it. We'll give the benefit of the doubt. We want to be on the rooftops. The rooftops are very good. Now we have to get back to the rooftops again. Oh god, the elevators. Man, the very first thing I ever did on this map was just walk up to one of those elevators and stand under it like, are you gonna kill me? And I was frankly never been more disappointed in my entire life than when it just pushes you out from under the elevator. I was like, come on! I want to trank someone under one of these elevators and watch them die. And that would be incredible. Do you know how much karma I'd get on Reddit? Oh my god. And I wasn't in the game at that point, but you know, that's what I would have been like. Oh, it would be so good. So we're starting to lose ground at this point. There's a lot of bad men on the rooftop, so it's kind of scary to go up there right now. We also would have to remove ourselves from the fight for a fairly extended period of time, which we don't want to do. Winston sure did give us a lot of ult charge right there. I'm in 2 minds about using Tac Visor right now, because I understand, you know, the fight's actively happening still and all that, but I've also been watching the kill feed, and I've seen that 2 people are dead right now, and I'm looking at Winston, and I'm like, he's not long for the world right now. So, I understand why we use Tac Visor, and I don't think it was terrible to do it, but I also think we probably didn't need to use it to win the fight at that point either. But it was close enough, like, you know, like, it still wasn't unimaginable we lost the team fight, but I would have been surprised. So I wouldn't have used it, but I also don't think it was a terrible time to use it. And we ended up killing 3 people, so you know, it feels good. It feels good, but you know, they were down 2 people. We said earlier, it's hard to win when you're down 2 people compared to the enemy. So, well, did we not build Helix Rocket? Oh no, a build Helix Rocket. We didn't have it. Very tragic, because he gets away. Yeah, happens sometimes. Life is difficult sometimes, so we've shot that boy. Great. Fantastic. He's dead. We did jiggle our way off of the high ground, so, you know, be careful. I do personally say to try and avoid standing perfectly still, even when you're shooting at people, because you, if you're standing perfectly still, you're just so much easier to kill, pretty much, because if somebody comes around the corner and they see you standing still, they're just like, oh, rad, click, 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 dead. Like, Genji finds you standing perfectly still, dash dead, right? Easy peasy. But you do have to be careful you don't just walk off the edge. And you don't have to do a lot of movement. Like, I just do, like, a slow strafe back and forth a little bit, when I'm shooting at people. Just so I'm not standing perfectly still, but I'm also not moving, like, sharply enough to really impact aim that much. It just reduces your chances of dying slightly. And for not much more work in terms of aiming, really, the risk is just when you're on a thin piece of high ground, you can accidentally walk right off of it. I say this because I see a lot of people on Reddit, specifically the thread that this video came from, saying to stop strafing so much. And I think that standing perfectly still frequently when you're aiming at people is dramatically worse than strafing back and forth a lot. Because if you're standing perfectly still, you're way easier to kill, and we want to minimize that. Overwatch is a very fast game, and people do some wacky shit. You can't account for all things at all points in time, and I've been punished and seen people get punished for standing perfectly still way too often to think it's worth it. Just a slight strafe back and forth makes you harder to kill, and it isn't that much harder to aim. The bigger thing for me in terms of aim in this game is just that we seem extremely fidgety as we move around. Like, we do a lot of, like, jumping around still, like, that's not good. It's just, like, I see this happen, right? Like, we stand perfectly still while we're doing this for, like, 2 seconds. And we're in a really, like, easy to shoot at location right now, right? So if, like, their Hanzo finds us, their like, I know they don't have all of these heroes. Like, their soldier finds us, their Hanzo finds us, their Genji finds us, and they see us standing perfectly still, they go, just take a little adjust, clicked on his head, great, he's dead. Make it harder for them. Don't make it too easy. Now that I've repeated that point like 19 or so times, it's probably time to move on. We are very fidgety, though. It's more of like a personal thing, perhaps a sensitivity thing, but our sensitivity doesn't look dramatically high as we actually, like, look around. So it's probably just, like, we're kind of fidgety. You want to try and be, like, calm while you're aiming up. I know, like, aim better. Bad advice, I know, and all that, but, like, you want to try and be calm while you're aiming at people, because just, like, shifting all over the place wildly is just, it's not as good. You want to try and be chill and, like, calculated, basically. So we've just gone, like, into such a dangerous location right now. I mean, we jumped off the high ground to try and take part in this fight that's going on in here. That we don't need to. We should have just stayed on the high ground. Like, that situation's fine. We could have stayed up there. And then I assume we're trying to get her, so we go all the way over here, and now we're, like, in the middle of the street, right? Remember, we want to think about what we can use as cover, and if we're going to do something aggressive, we got to think, like, alright, well, how far do I have to go to get to safety? The closest safety we got is this doorway, and it's still pretty far away from us. And, we're just in the middle of the street right now, so, oh boy, is it really easy to get shot right here, and oh boy, do we have a long way to go to get to any type of safety. Gotta think about what we're gonna use as cover. At all points in time. So why positioning is something people struggle with a lot is because it's something you need to be doing constantly the entire game, and a lot of things go into it, so it's you know, one of the things people struggle with a lot. But we win the round, all good. We win the game, in fact. Hooray, fantastic, we're the best. Who got play of the game? Who did it? Might have been us. Ah, it was us. I saw Soldier very briefly. So this is a very long video, as we can see right here. So I basically picked the first full game off of it. We might come back in a day or two and do the others as well, but we'll see. Anyway, so things that stood out the most, pretty much, like, really fidgety. Try and just, like, be a little bit more chill. Try and jump less. And try to position less aggressively. When your team's regrouping, wait for them to regroup. If you're gonna, like, sprint off to do something aggressive, you know, you can get away with it, but you've got to really think about what's going on. You gotta think about, like, I've got to go that far out, right? How scary is that? How many of them are alive? How many of them can kill me, right? How far do I have to go to get back to safety again? Think about that. When you're just, like, poking at people and you're in, like, the neutral phase of the game, try to expose yourself to the enemy team as little as possible. Don't, like, strafe all the way out of cover into the middle of the street like at the start. Try and stick, like, close to the wall so you can, like, as close to the wall as physically possible, basically, so while you can still see the person that you're shooting at. Because then you just have to go less far to get back into cover. You can just peek out, peek back in again, rather than going all the way out and then all the way back in. Try not to run at the people you're shooting at, because yeah, it makes it easier to shoot them because you're closer to them, but you're usually just getting more into their zone, right? Soldier wants to be further away from people. Obviously, you can't be, like, sniper distance away, right? Like, he's not Widowmaker, but he is 1 degree lower on the range scale than Widowmaker is. He's right below that kind of distance, so you still want to be further away. Ideally, you just get better at shooting people from far away, but definitely don't, like, run at the people you're shooting. And people do that a lot, they just run at the person they're shooting at. Unless you're someone like Reaper or Diva, you gain nothing from doing that, right? You want to just shoot them from further away. So those are the things that stood out the most. Also, we use TAC Visor in some pretty iffy ways as well. But the positioning is like a more broad thing to work on. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them, or just shitpost with us. Started streaming on Twitch Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 7 p.m. EST till 10 or 11 p.m. EST. Have had issues with consistency lately, but we'll try and get that a little bit more back on schedule. If you managed to make it all the way through the video and somehow still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe for more content of middling quality in the future, and I hope you found the video helpful.